Kratom is now banned in Bloomington after a unanimous city council vote last night. The leaf is often ground into a powder, and it's popular at smoke shops. According to the FDA, though, it has effects similar to opioids and stimulants. The FDA also claims that kratom can cause serious side effects, including liver toxicity, seizures, and substance use disorder. In Bloomington, the sale and possession of kratom is now banned for individuals and businesses. Leading that effort was Council member Michael Mosley, who says he's been researching this product for months and believes it's potentially dangerous.
What I learned is that kratom is not an ordinary consumer product. It is an unregulated, inconsistently labeled, and sold without standardized dosing or meaningful oversight, despite having drug-like effects and documented risk.
The state of Illinois already bans the sale of kratom to anyone under 18. Other central Illinois cities have also gone with total bans. Last year, it was East Peoria, Morton, and Pekin. Bloomington now added to that list.